Good evening, everyone. Guys, another country has just entered the theatre of conflict, or should I say the theatres of conflict. This is an emergency update, guys. It's a little bit raw because the situation on the ground is dynamic. I've been sent various articles of various people from around the world, with a little bit of commentary. But what I'm going to go on this video, because it's literally only like, an hour old or something, we're going to go off what the mainstream media are talking about. I'm going to then speculate and give commentary on that. The reality is we don't know how this situation is going to develop. But once I've read what mainstream media are talking about and give commentary, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to speculate on what's happening behind the scenes and how this ties into Ukraine, Georgia, and Syria. So let's just get straight onto it then, guys. Let's go straight to the share screen. So what we're talking about, guys, is South Korea. So I'm just going to read this bit here. South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol has declared, I may be butchering that name, has declared emergency martial law, which he says is necessary to protect the country from North Korea's communist forces and to eliminate anti-state elements. Lawmakers have since voted to block the president's move after both the ruling party and the opposition vowed to obstruct the declaration. Protests have been taking place outside Parliament, with the BBC's Jacques Kwan hearing chants of "no to martial law" as police ring out sirens. Yoon's Police Power Party and the opposition Democratic Party have been locked in dispute over next year's budget bill. Martial law means by rule military authority in a time of emergency and can mean suspension of normal civil rights. So analysis: Yoon is made in controversy and has been a lame duck president. So what he's saying here, guys, and there's going to be a lot of fog of war. There's going to be a lot of outlets coming out reporting one thing, then reporting contradicting things the next day. What I'm going to go with is from this article. We're going to take it at face value that he's trying to protect the country from communist forces. As I said, guys, I'll keep you guys updated on this, but I just want to give a quick snapshot of the situation on the ground. So I want to go down to some of these pictures here. So first of all, what we can get from, because the words don't really mean anything. It's the, anyone can write the words. Let's look what the pictures say. So this picture here from Reuters looks relatively peaceful. I want to focus on these on the military guys here. There's a better picture of them here. Can I zoom in? No. So these night vision goggles here are ridiculously expensive. They're the ones with peripheral vision. So I'm going to speculate that these guys are special forces guys. Now I'm also going to double speculate on this, that because they're actually wearing them in that position, I would say that I don't know who's training them to do that, but certainly in a dynamic situation like that, the last thing you want to do is be, running around and having to get into melee with someone in the streets, and these things getting knocked off because they are expensive, and you need to keep these protected. So these things in daylight hours should be really in a pouch, but they're in a building now, so all of these guys should have taken these off. So that says a little bit about the level of training of these guys. We've got people outside. Again, these people don't look like they're under immediate threat. I have no idea what this is. And then we've got some of the protests outside. Now, it doesn't look like that it's going to turn violent, but what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to give, that's what the mainstream are telling us. I'm going to tell you guys what I know from firsthand experience about how the Russians operate and how this ties into what's happening in Georgia and what's happening in Syria. So from earlier on, guys, the video I gave earlier on, I was talking about the situation in Syria and the situation in Georgia, how I believe that is detrimental to the Russians. So therefore, we kind of understand who's going to be pushing this agenda in Georgia and in Syria. if we look at this, and again, these timings are just absolutely insane. How quickly this has happened, So now we've got this situation in South Korea. What do we know about South Korea? Well, we know that there's over 40,000 US troops stationed in South Korea. They're a huge ally of the United States. The United States have a huge military, a huge military presence there. The North Koreans, who they've been at war with for they had a ceasefire in 1953, and the ceasefire's been since 1963. They often throw things over, and there'll be like the odd indirect fire, or they sent some bags of poo over or something. So the situation has held relatively between North and South Korea. What we understand and what we know about the North Koreans now, the North Koreans are the enemy of the South Koreans. There's nothing controversial there. Vladimir Putin's remember when Vladimir Putin was driving around and having his bromance with Kim Jong-un? And people were mocking him, and people were saying, oh, look how desperate Vladimir Putin is. Well, I would suspect, guys, and I would speculate very heavily that Vladimir Putin, the Russians, have had some influence in this. Now, the Russians do excel at this type of warfare. They do excel at this type of this type of tactic, whereby, look at Georgia, for example, in 2008. It was kind of, it's very easy to, once you pay enough people at the top, it's very easy then to start disseminating that down. So if over the years the people in South Korea have been on the take, and I'm not saying that they have, it could have been done lots of different ways, but if people at the top in South Korea have been on the take, who've been taking Russian money for a certain length of time, and then all of a sudden the Russians just decide to push a load of money into South Korea and say, hey guys, we want you to do this, you could have a situation as we're seeing now, where there's absolute carnage on the streets. There's a state of martial law being called, but again, it's very difficult to understand what's actually happening because the state of martial law is being called, but lawmakers, lawmakers have voted to block it. So, what's happening there on the ground is very dynamic at the moment, guys. What I'm saying in this video is I think this is all connected now with Ukraine, it's all connected with Russia, it's all connected with Georgia, and it's all connected with Syria. I would speculate, and this is my wild speculation, guys. So nobody get in the comments and say, oh, this is fake news, this is X, Y, and Z, this is this. This is me speculating, guys, now, and I'm sure you all know what speculating means. I would say that the Russians have seen what's happening in Georgia. The Russians have seen what's happening in Syria, and the Russians have thought, right, okay, if we have to divert our attentions, guess what, sweet cheeks, you guys are going to divert your attentions too. So they've looked around at one of the easiest places to agitate, destabilize is South Korea. As you can see there, guys, there's no disputing it. However you want to put it, South Korea has been destabilized. I would speculate now, guys, as we're heading towards global conflict of industrial scale, we're just going to see this happen more and more. Guys, be under no illusion. This is just the beginning. In fact, guys, you know what? It's not the beginning. It's not the beginning. It's not the end, but it is the end of the beginning. Okay, we're going to see more and more things like this happen. Expect sabotage attacks now in the United Kingdom because we are a close ally with the Ukrainians, and expect all these things that our adversaries have had in the have put on the shelf. For example, these asymmetric attacks that they've been planning over years, and there's only a certain amount of time they can put these asymmetric attacks in. Grey warfare, non-conventional warfare, all this sort of stuff. It's coming to fruition now, and it's happening in real time. I would suspect that this is not the last country we're going to see erupt in destabilization. And all these countries are going to have some direct involvement in the Ukraine war. Syria, it's got Russian troops in it, so that is your direct link back to Ukraine. Georgia, again, heavily leaning Russian. Excuse me. heavily leaning Russian government. People want to be closer to the EU. That's your connection to Ukraine. South Korea providing munitions to Ukraine. North Korea providing manpower to Russia. So you see how these tentacles are intertwined, guys, and everything is connected. Absolutely insane what's happening at the moment, guys. Remember what I've said, okay, guys? We're going to see more of these happen. We're going to see more of these countries destabilized. And guys, I'll be here. I'll be letting you guys know what's happening. I'll give you my analysis in real time. Again, a lot of when I tell you guys that this is my speculation, I have to say it's speculation because it is literally me going off what I'm seeing on the news, and I'm telling you what I think from my experience operating in these spheres. Guys, nothing's connected, and we really are, everything's connected. And guys, we really are heading towards a global conflict of an industrial scale. Guys, I'm going to back to grid. I'll get you another video later.